Coming up on 5 Minute News. Trump contradicts previous statements in Fox News interview. Hunter Biden to plead guilty in deal that averts prison time. And search continues for submersible lost near Titanic wreck. It's Wednesday, June 21. I'm Anthony Davis. Donald Trump, in his first televised interview since his arraignment last week on federal charges, acknowledged that he delayed turning over boxes of documents despite being asked to do so, drew factually incorrect parallels between his case and classified document probes concerning other politicians, and claimed he didn't actually have a Pentagon attack plan that the indictment says he boasted about to others. Those comments, like any remarks made by a defendant about an ongoing case, could complicate his lawyer's work, potentially precluding defenses they might have otherwise wanted to make, or alternately boxing them into certain arguments so as to remain consistent with their client's claims. The interview could give the Justice Department compelling and admissible insight into Trump's state of mind as the case moves forward, allowing prosecutors to preemptively attack defenses he might intend to invoke. The interview with Fox News aired just hours after a federal magistrate judge granted a Justice Department request for a protective order in the case that would prevent the public disclosure of evidence provided to the Trump team through the information sharing process known as discovery. In the interview on Monday night, Trump repeatedly denied wrongdoing, but in so doing, he seemed to undercut potential future arguments from his lawyers that he was not intimately involved in the handling of the boxes, or that he had moved quickly to cooperate with demands to give the records back. He asserted incorrectly that he was entitled, under the Presidential Records Act, to retain the documents that he took with him from the White House, and acknowledged that he delayed giving the boxes over because he wanted to first remove personal belongings that investigators say were commingled with the files, something he suggested he had been too busy to do. Trump has been photographed playing golf almost daily since losing the presidency. President Joe Biden's son, Hunter, will plead guilty to federal tax offenses, but avoid full prosecution on a separate gun charge in a deal with the Justice Department that likely spares him time behind bars. 53-year-old Hunter Biden will plead guilty to the misdemeanor tax offenses as part of an agreement made public yesterday. The agreement will also avert prosecution on a felony charge of illegal possessing a firearm as a drug user, as long as he adheres to the conditions agreed to in court. The deal ends a long-running Justice Department investigation into the taxes and foreign business dealings of President Joe Biden's second son, who acknowledged struggling with drug addiction following the 2015 death of his brother, Beau Biden. It also averts a trial that would have generated days or weeks of distracting headlines for a White House that has strenuously sought to keep its distance from the Justice Department, and from Biden's son, who has never held any position in his father's administration. The Justice Department would recommend 24 months of probation for the tax charges, meaning Hunter will not face time in prison. But the decision to go along with any deal is up to the judge. The gun charges state that Hunter Biden possessed a handgun for 11 days in October 2018, despite knowing he was a drug user. The rarely filed count carries a maximum sentence of up to 10 years in prison, but the Justice Department said he had reached a pre-trial agreement. This likely means as long as he adheres to the conditions, the case will be wiped from his record. In a race against the clock on the high seas, an expanding international armada of ships and aeroplanes searched on Tuesday for a submersible that vanished in the North Atlantic while taking 5 people down to the wreck of the Titanic. U.S. Coast Guard officials said the search covered 10,000 square miles, but turned up no sign of the lost sub known as the Titan. Although rescuers planned to continue looking, time was running out because the vessel would have less than 2 days of oxygen left if it is still intact and functioning. Authorities reported the carbon fibre vessel overdue on Sunday night, setting off the search in waters about 435 miles south of St John's. At the helm was pilot Stockton Rush, the CEO of the company leading the expedition. His passengers were British adventurer Hamish Harding, 2 members of a Pakistani business family, and a Titanic expert. The submersible had 7 backup systems to return to the surface, including sandbags and lead pipes that drop off and an inflatable balloon. One system is designed to work even if everyone aboard is unconscious. OceanGate's expeditions to the Titanic wreck site include archaeologists and marine biologists. The company also brings people who pay to come along. They take turns operating sonar equipment and performing other tasks in the submersible, which is a rudimentary vessel without seats or a bathroom. The expedition was OceanGate's 3rd annual voyage in its new design submersible to chronicle the deterioration of Titanic, which struck an iceberg and sank in 1912. OceanGate's website described the mission support fee for the 2023 expedition as $250,000 per person. 5-Minute News is an Evergreen podcast covering politics, inequality, health and climate, delivering independent, unbiased and essential world news daily.